Hey guys, welcome back once again to Maximus the Fourth. So today we're going to be paying a tribute to a YouTube internet legend that went by the name of Joshua Sanders. Most of you probably knew him as KingcobraJFS, maybe a nickname Cobes, Kobe, so on and so forth. He has recently passed away due to a heart attack, which probably resulted in long-term use of alcohol. And today I'm just going to kind of walk you guys through some key points of his life and, really what kind of led him down the road that he went through, because he had a hard life and there's a lot of stuff that happened in his life that was very chaotic that I'm going to be leaving out most of it because a lot of it was pretty bad. But hopefully this will give you guys an understanding of, why he ended up the way he did. So let's go ahead and get into this and see what happens. So Joshua Sanders first started posting YouTube content all the way back in 2011. What had happened is that he had posted so many videos to a point to where he pretty much kind of got burnt out and he was fed up with his channel, and he wasn't happy with the success that he was getting, even though it was probably good compared to most. So what he did is he deleted his old account and just did away with it. And this was about 8 years ago when he had deleted his old account, which would result in 2015. When he had come back with his second channel as KingcobraJFS as the official name, he made it very clear that he was unhappy with his previous channel, and he was hoping to just kind of make his channel a lot more concentrated and dense. And so that's exactly what he did. Now, many of you should know that Josh was bullied for most of his life, all throughout elementary school, middle school, high school, from his trolls and peers that he went to high school with and whatnot. And he was diagnosed with Asperger's and autism, and I think it was because when he was born, he had some sort of a defect that was going on with his heart. He actually almost died, and so they had to stick him in an incubator for long periods of time just to make sure that he wouldn't die, and luckily he was able to survive as an infant, and he didn't die. That's the reason why he had developed autism and Asperger's, because his body just was not functionable the way that a normal human being's was. And due to getting bullied and being such a huge outcast with his peers, he had attended special needs classes. And the reason why he was bullied is because of his odd behaviors and eccentric looks. Now, when he was in the middle of his channel, he had actually gotten banned for flashing his genitals to trolls for 2 weeks. And to me, I think that that's kind of funny, but on YouTube, it's not a porn website, so you can't just be doing that. But he had actually met his first girlfriend, which her name was Stephanie, and trolls would tell him that he treated her poorly. And this was back in 2010. And so what he did to get back at them is he cooked her a hot pocket on camera. As fate would have it, him and his girlfriend Stephanie would end up breaking up due to complications. Let's just say that they both were a bit unfaithful. I think Josh kind of started that whole thing, and it just ended up not working out very well. But he had met a friend of his that went by the name of Homeboy Scotty, and that was actually known to be his best friend. Now, Josh had some very odd behaviors on camera. He was very known for his crazy cooking skills, and he had actually made hard-boiled eggs while using Mountain Dew, and he had even made some bacon cheeseburgers using pork brains and bugs. If it wasn't obvious enough by the way he would dress himself with the style of his sunglasses and his finger paintings, one of his biggest idols was Ozzy Osbourne. And in 2017, he had dated Summer which was his second girlfriend. And sadly, they ended up breaking up just 2 months after they had gotten together due to her getting harassed from his own personal trolls. So she broke up with him because she couldn't take the stress of it. Now, Josh, he did work at Wendy's for 5 years, which is a miracle that he lasted that long, but eventually his disability would catch up with him and they just let him go because they couldn't handle him anymore. And he ended up living off of revenues from YouTube, Social Security income, SSDI, which is Social Security Disabled Income. And he started selling wands, which is like a stick in stuff that he would make. It's kind of odd because it kind of seemed like he might have been into witchcraft in some way. I don't know that to be 100% true, but this actually became his biggest source of income, is selling those wands. And this time, 2017-18, he was getting to be a lot more hooked on alcohol, and he smoked cigarettes, marijuana, consumed alcohol, and he ended up getting evicted for the very first time for causing a bunch of fumes. When he would make his wands, he would spray paint them, and he had other fellow neighbors near him that could smell the fumes from his room, and he had actually caused, I think, 2 people to get so sick because of those fumes that they had to go to the hospital. And because he didn't have the sense to spray his wands outside and inside, he'd caused $6,000 worth of damage in his apartment. So, as fate would have it, he ended up moving back in with his dad, but luckily he was able to find his new place in 2020. Now, if it wasn't obvious enough, by 2020, Cobes was basically completely hooked on alcohol, and he started losing tons of his hair, and he had major alcohol rage fits. The thing is that when you consume too much alcohol, it starts to really affect your brain, and you just do crazy stuff that doesn't really make sense. And trolls never really stopped messing with him. They had sent him unpaid pizzas, DoorDash orders, McDonald's orders, and this was all due to because his address was leaked online somewhere. He could have been doing a live stream or something and just ended up leaking it somehow. The trolls actually sent him a bra too, which was kind of funny because they were just teasing him because they figured he'd never get a girlfriend, so they'd send him a bra. But by 2023, he had met his third girlfriend, and she went by the name of Jessica Boyle. She had actually caused him to get evicted for a second time because they would fight like crazy. And then she caused him to get evicted for a third time due to their fights. And their fights were so bad that people would call on him to get a wellness check because they couldn't take it. They would get disturbed. And it got so bad at one point that his girlfriend had announced on camera, because she would make videos too to get back at him, that she was going to shoot him if she had ever gotten her hands on a gun. So it's just freaking crazy. But Josh was very peculiar human being. He wasn't really like anyone else that's out there. And the way I found out about him was from DJ Glowing Ice making a post on his channel, and he'd said that we lost a real one. Now, by the end of Josh's life, his teeth were rotting so bad that he couldn't even eat normal food. Like, that's how bad it was. And he just was majorly depressed, constantly got bullied all of his life, and he basically just chose to numb all of his pain by drinking alcohol. And it's really sad because he was only 34 years old when he died, and he could have ended up doing so much better. But a message that I really want to make today, more than anything, is that any of you trolls out there that are watching this video, if you think that any of your mean comments didn't mean anything, you're wrong, because I've been around autistic kids growing up, and I've seen them get bullied, and it's a really bad thing to experience. Now, I do want to say this too, that when Josh passed away, his dad did make an appearance on some videos, and his dad claims that it's the trolls that caused him to lose his life ultimately. But sadly, his dad was not the best dad out there, and had he have had a better, more supportive father in his life, he could have turned out to be much better off. Fathers are very, very important in people's lives, far more important than the mother. There are statistics that say that if you have a good father, you are 80 or 90% more likely to become a Christian. And if people that watch my channel, they know that I'm a Christian. And so that's a very important thing for me. But that's pretty much it, you guys. I'm just paying my respects to Josh Sanders. I pray for his family out there, his dad. I feel bad for everybody. I know that he's going to be very missed. There's a lot of people that absolutely loved watching him. I think he had accumulated 133,000 subscribers, somewhere around there, but he was constantly getting awarded on the algorithm. And what I can tell you as a more ordinary YouTuber is if you're posting videos frequently and you're getting 1,000 views at least or more, you're definitely doing something right. And he had a few videos that kind of went mini viral. I think his cigarette trick, he had I think 100,000, maybe 200,000 views from that video. But I haven't known about him for very long, but I definitely did my research on him because I wanted to do this video, because I feel like as a YouTuber, there's so much more purpose in being a YouTuber than just doing stuff that's just about yourself. And Joshua had captured the interest of a lot of people's lives, and people liked watching him. He was the kind of person where he didn't have to think strategically with his videos. He could literally just post whatever he wanted. Didn't matter what the title was. Didn't matter what he was doing in his videos. He was a YouTube personality, period, and people liked watching him. So, it's sad that he's gone, but I gotta say I'm very happy that he's got such a huge legacy that he's left behind, because a lot of us are going to be able to revisit his videos. So, there you guys have it. That was my tribute on Joshua Sanders, and I thank you guys for watching. See you next time.